I had my original near-death experience in 1994, and I was a fireman at the time, and down in Goleta and Santa Barbara area. Mm-hmm. And we went to a severely ill patient, and there was a flu epidemic going on. All the emergency rooms were full, and a couple of us got it. And a couple of days later, I was really sick, and I ended up in an emergency room, and that things didn't go very well. And I progressed into the intensive care. And the night that I went into the ER, and I went to intensive care, sometime during that night, my blood pressure had dropped out, and I was out for hours. And sometime during that night, I left my body, and the doctors and the nurses, they said, we put you in the Trendelenburg and with 2 high flow IVs, and we hope for the best. And, I was 40 over 0 with a blood pressure. And so anyway, I left my body, and I had this incredible experience. And I was in this star-filled realm. There were beautiful colored stars all around me, and I felt amazing. I felt like I'd been let out of a dark closet, a hot, dark, stuffy closet, and I was this huge expanded balloon, this huge expanded cloud, and I was moving through all these stars, as the only thing I could call them at the time, and it felt like somebody was pouring honey all over my brain, and it was running through every nerve, and I was ecstatic, euphoric. And a lot of NDEers, they're coming clean these days, and it's good to see, because they say it felt sensual, it felt extremely this euphoria that you really couldn't contain. So I was flying along and just loving it. And I was not Bill Leston anymore. I didn't want anything to do with his story or the whole thing of being here in this place, in this body. And that's weird to say, because I have had a charmed life. I've had everything I've ever wanted, and I'm probably the happiest person you'll ever meet. And my thoughts while I was flying along was, wow, what the heck was that? That was rough. This earthly visit. That was tough duty. And I was so happy to be released. There was no way I was going back ever. Flying along, and my biggest thing was, how in the world did I forget who I really was? That kept coming up. It's like, this is such a major trick, that I was this guy, and that I wasn't who I really was for a temporary time. I'm flying along, and I was thinking about that, and all of a sudden I landed. I landed in a place that was real. It was solid. It had indirect lighting. There were tables there, and it was kind of clinical, kind of institutional almost. And there were beings there. There were these 3 short hooded guys, and they were overjoyed to see me. They were bouncing around and laughing and telling jokes, and I was looking at them, and they looked familiar, but I was so confused. I was in this place all of a sudden. It was a solid place, and they were asking me all these questions like, oh, what was it like? What did you learn? What can you tell us? And I was just saying, this is so amazing. They look like little elves. And they started giggling, and one of them turned to the others and said, he doesn't remember us. And they all giggled uproariously. And it was like I just got off a roller coaster, and I was home. I was back at the landing with my best bros, and they all wanted to know how was the roller coaster. And it was all fun and light and cool. And then there was this other guy, and he was kind of in charge, and he was this like tall, wispy guy. It's almost like he was made out of vapor or smoke or something. And he had a smile on his face from ear to ear. And when he came close to me, my chest expanded, and I felt like it was going to explode. And it was love. There was so much love from this guy. And it wasn't very organized. There wasn't a lot going on. And they were just like bouncing around and having a good time. And, me being this kind of guy, this, fire captain guy, you got policies and procedures. And so I said, well, aren't we going to go through a review of my life? And this tall, wispy guy just chuckled. He laughed, and he goes, sure, let's do that. How do you want to start? And he just laughed some more. And I told a few stories. I told a few things. I wish I would have taken that Park Service job on that island, and my wife wanted that job. And, a few things like that. No big regrets at all. And then he sort of said, okay, it's time to go back. And I was really shocked at that. I was like, go back. I'm not going back. I'm done with that. I was in my late 30s. I told him, look, I'm almost 40. What good am I? There's nothing more to do. And the three little guys, it was like they were reassigned. They just disappeared. And he came forward, and I felt myself slipping back. And when I told this a few years ago at an NDE meeting, my wife got a good chuckle out of it. But I told him, I said, look, the only people that are going to really be upset is my mom and dad and my wife. And they'll be sad for a couple of weeks, but they'll get over it. And they'll be fine. They're strong people. And he laughed at that, and he said, no, you're going back. And I started back, and it was a descending thing. And I ended up in this place just before I was in my body. I was in this place, and it was pretty dark and dismal. And it was a place right next to where we are in the physical. And that place scared me. It was lonely, and that's where we are. That's where we are in these containers. We're in this place that's pretty rough, and it's on purpose. I've learned. So anyway, I woke up in my body, and I wasn't happy to be there. And there was a nurse there, and and I told her, man, what am I doing back here? I was home with my bros, and from what I could tell, I bought the farm. And she said, honey, you were in escrow, but you fell out, and now you're back with us. So get over it.